Hi everyone, it's Casey Williams. Mercedes aficionados will tell you that some numbers are more special than others. Numbers like 770, 300, and 600. But those Mercedes fans that really like the cars from the 1980s will tell you that 560 is the most special number. That's the number affixed to the back of cars like the 560 SL, the 560 SEC, and the 560 SEL, the big sedan. Well, the car we have today is the 2018 S560 Ford Matic. Let's go have a look and see if this car lives up to the standard set by the original. Well, you could park this 560 next to the original and you would absolutely know they're both designed by Mercedes-Benz. Just look at the front of it. The big chrome grille, the star on the hood, the Mercedes-Benz emblem here on the top of the grille. Again, just very classic, you know what it is. But it's also a very modern car. It's a very 21st century car. LED headlamps, you got LED running lamps here. Again, the front just looks very, very aggressive. And to me, it just looks very sporty and very mean. When you see this car coming at you, you know it's a very special automobile. It's a little hard to see in the video, but I love the paint color. It's kind of a metallic cherry brownish color. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's probably the color I would choose if it was my car. Come around the side. This car has some of the AMG treatment to it. The 20-inch alloy wheels. Again, has a more aggressive fascia. Kind of the ground effects down below as well. And you come from this angle, you can see it's just a really big car. But what I like that the current generation designers are doing is they've gotten rid of a lot of the swoopy lines and just a lot of the chiseled features that just really didn't add anything to the car. This one really kind of takes us back to the Bruno Sacco designs of the 80s, where it's just very clean and just really has just enough detail just to give it some presence, but nothing you don't really need. I really like this line that comes off of the front fender and comes back to the doors. Again, just gives it just a touch of elegance, just a little class and presence, but nothing you don't need. Chrome, of course, around the window line. Again, very, very nice. Come around the back of the car. Again, it's very streamlined. It comes in, nice tall deck, looks beautiful. But some of the modern details, you know, the twin exhaust outlets down below, kind of like the oval shape of them, I think look very beautiful. Again, it's an S-Class, some added chrome to it. And these lights, they're LEDs at night, and you still have that look just like you did in the 70s and 80s, although they aren't, you know, the lens cover isn't jagged like they used to be, but still gives that same effect. Come in, power trunk lid. And for a car this big, the trunk really isn't that big. You can't put the back seats down because the rear seats recline and they're heated and cooled and they're very nice. But you know, it's a little tight here in the rear passenger compartment or in the luggage compartment for the size of this car. But outside of that, I think it's absolutely beautiful on the outside. Well, probably the biggest change to the 560 since the old days is under the hood. You know, back in the 1980s, 560 meant the car had a 5.6 liter V8. That's kind of how Mercedes did their nomenclature. But this one is not a 5.6 liter V8. Instead, it's a 4 liter bi-turbo V8, delivers 463 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. And in case you're checking, that's over 200 horsepower more than the car from the 1980s had in it. Well, this car has a couple other features to it. It's got auto stop start to save fuel. It'll pause it at a stop and then restart the engine automatically. And this car also has a 9-speed automatic transmission in it. So that gives us 17 miles per gallon in the city, 27 miles per gallon on the highway. So I think for a very, very large, very fast, 5-passenger car with 463 horsepower, 27 miles per gallon on the highway is pretty good. Well, take a look at the interior. And if you're familiar with what the 560 used to look like in the 1980s, you'll know this is completely different. You know, gone is the big center console in the center with the wood and the orange tipped gauges here. Completely new, completely modern, but exactly what a modern Mercedes should be. And I think nobody does a better job of blending, you know, all the new technology with classic craftsmanship as well as Mercedes does. You know, it really just starts with the color scheme inside. I think it's just beautiful, just designed. Like this mahogany color, two-tone with the beige and mahogany color. Seats the same way. Down below, this has the upgraded piano black finish with the lines through it. I think it looks very classy. You can get the traditional burled walnut and other woods if you want to, but I think this looks very nice and accents this car perfectly. You know, the air vents down below, the classic organ stops to turn the vents on and off here. Of course, you can adjust them with the classic clock. So I think all that's just very, very nice, very beautiful. So what things to keep you comfortable in the car? You know, the front seats, let's just talk about them. They're heated, they're cooled, they have massagers. Not just one type of massagers, but about 4 different types of massagers. So if you come with a hot stone effect, you can get that, or if you just want them to kind of push your muscles in it, you can do that. Pretty much anything you want. They're absolutely fantastic. You can also there's an active mode that will kind of hold you in your seats depending on what the car is doing. It's great. Headrests, you know, they're basically big pillows. You know, they wrap in, they come in and out. Very nice. Heated steering wheel. everything you absolutely need. And beyond all that, of course, you wouldn't want your arms to get chilly in the wintertime, so it's got heated armrests as well. Everything you need to keep comfortable. Some of the technology, I think Mercedes does a pretty good job of laying it out. And the way they do it is basically a two-screen arrangement, instrument cluster over here, infotainment in the middle. Controls down below for the infotainment screen. So you got navigation, radio controls, media, telephone, all there. Pretty easy to figure out. You can reconfigure the driver's screen. I've got the digital speedometer with the big tachometer set up right now. You can do more classic gauges with the two big round gauges, speedometer, tachometer, and there's another one as well, kind of a sportier look. What I really wish they'd do is kind of give us the big center speedometer with the orange accents, kind of like they had in the 1980s as a fourth choice. I think that'd be really cool. This car has heads-up display, flashes navigation up there, so your eyes are always forward where they're supposed to be. So talk about safety gear on this car. There's a lot of safety gear. Has the adaptive cruise control, forward collision alert, forward crash mitigation system, blind spot warning, lane keep assist, all that stuff on it. But it has some other pretty high-tech things. We're moving towards an automated future, and Mercedes still requires you keep your hands on the wheel, but the car does just about everything else. It'll keep the car centered in the lane, and it's really kind of cool in the interstate. You just kind of loosen your hands and the car just keeps itself centered. Even around curves, does a very nice job. And of course, with adaptive cruise, as you pull up behind somebody else, automatically slows down. It's got an evasive maneuver feature and a lane change feature. So turn your turn signal on and start to nudge the car, and the car will go ahead and complete that and center it in the next lane for you as well. And also, as the sensors detect that you're coming up on an accident or something stopped in front of you, and as you as the driver start to turn the car and take evasive maneuvers around that, the car will go ahead and amplify that and help get you centered in that lane as well as you're going around that object. So I think, and again, a lot of technology is not taking the driver out of the equation, but a lot of things to really help you as a driver. So a couple other features I think, just to kind of finish, that I really like in this car. The rear seats, they recline, they're heated and cool, they've got heated armrests as well, but I'm not planning on spending any time back there. If I'm behind this car, I'm going to be behind the steering wheel of it. Looking out the end of the hood, looking at the three-pointed star, right where it's supposed to be. Listening to the Burmester audio system, just thoroughly enjoying this car. But if the sun's bothering me, there's one other really cool feature on this car, the sunroof. It's got a twin-pane panoramic roof, but you can do it in about 4 different ways. You can have the cover fully over, you can have it dark tinted as it is right now. I can press a button here, and the tinting pretty much goes away. It's electric, I think it's very cool. Or I can press the button and have the full roof open. So just a lot of nice features on this car, a lot of high-tech features, but a lot to keep you safe and comfortable as well. Well, you can drag race sports cars with this car. It'll do 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. It's plenty powerful. That's really not the point of the S560. This is a car that's meant to get you and 3 other people very comfortably across states and across countries, just about as fast as you'd ever want to run it. This is a car that's built for the Autobahn, sit in the left-hand lane, and just run 150 miles per hour plus all day long. And this car will do that. And having 463 horsepower, again, the point is that when you're out on the highway and you're running over 100 miles per hour where it's legal, and you want to step on the throttle and have something left, you absolutely have it in this car. So that's just great. But out on the interstate and running much more sensible speeds through the United States, it's really just about quiet and about comfort and just serenity driving the car. The technology is beautiful, this Burmester audio system is fantastic, and all that's great, but it's really just, this is a car you just want to settle into and just drive it until it runs out of gas, fill it up, and drive it again until it runs out of gas, and just drive wherever you want to drive in it, and it will do that. And some of the technology makes that possible. This car has an air suspension system in it, and you can actually control the configuration for the car. So you can control the engine throttle, the suspension, the steering, electronic stability control programming with this one little button here in the center. So right now I've got it set on comfort, and for me this is kind of, I call it the waft setting, where it just kind of just floats down the highway. Again, it's not uncontrolled, but it just feels very comfortable and just a little bit floaty. The steering's the lightest. The throttle response is kind of, it's not as sensitive as it would be in the sport mode. And then you move it up to the sport mode, and again the steering gets a little bit heavier, the suspension gets a little bit firmer. That's really where you really want to set it if you're driving through the mountains, or if you're trying to carve up some 2-lane roads in this big car. That's where you want to set it. And the car just handles really well. And for a car as big as this is, it's really surprising what it can do. The car does have all-wheel drive, so no matter what the weather conditions are, no matter what the road conditions, the car's equipped for that. And with the air suspension, you can also raise it up. So if you wake up and there's a foot of snow on the ground, it'll deal with that. If you're a third world despot and you need to, get to your castle off the beaten path, you can do that as well. So the car is really designed for pretty much anything you want. But again, I had the car, we've had it for a week now, and had my family in it yesterday. And all I really want to do is just take the car and just go eat up some highway miles. And it's just wonderful doing that. Out on the highway, we set the cruise control. So it's got adaptive cruise, it's keeping a safe distance. I've got my hands just kind of loosely on the wheel, and the car is keeping itself centered, going around curves. And it just takes a lot of stress off the driver. It's not about being fully automated. It doesn't get from point A to point B all by itself. But it's really just systems that just kind of make your life a little bit easier on the highway and just take a little bit of that stress off. But for the rest of the time, when you're cruising through town, a lot of people maybe sit in the back seat of this car, but I'm not gonna be one of those people. I'd be the one driving it. And it's just serene and quiet, and just have your cup of coffee and sit in your massage seats and enjoy the day. Well, Mercedes S-classes of any era have something in common with all the rest. In their day, they were the best cars in the world. They represented all the technology that Mercedes-Benz could bring to bear on an automobile, and have one big package that's just comfortable and luxurious and just has status and can roll up into any place in the world, and the occupant, is somebody special. And this car absolutely does that. From the interior comforts and the technology to the safety gear, it's just one step away from being a fully autonomous car. Mercedes won't claim that it's autonomous, and the driver is still important, but it just feels like one more evolution and we'll be there. And this, compared to the 560 from the 80s, there's one more thing I think is just absolutely fantastic about it. You look out the front of the windshield, you see that star at the end of the hood, and that view is just the same as it's always been. Well, one thing that has changed drastically since the 1980s is the price of the Mercedes S-Class. The car starts at $89,900. This one, fully in, $139,405. And if you're looking for a car that's $140,000 and that doesn't bother you, I think you'll like this car very much. Well, next week we'll have another fun car. Until then, storm forward.